Big speeches make headlines, but real stories happen here. This is Brilliantly Candid. Go! Let's go beyond the keynote and get to the heart of leadership.
Hi, everyone. We are at Checkpoint CPX Americas 2025 in the house where you used to be a fluorescent light for the women in tech, but that's okay. So we found this little spot.
We did.
Isn't that the coolest thing about like conventions? When you can find a neat niche place and no one knows, and it happens to be a hot Checkpoint
it's a
pink
hot
couch.
It's not the ugly convention furniture. Sorry.
And it's comfy and it doesn't have weird stains on it.
I don't feel the need to take a shower when we're done.
No,
right?
I know.
It's gonna be okay here for a little while anyway. We don't need to sanitize.
But you know what though? When you think about, look, you already have to sanitize enough as it is as a CISO, okay? But so we're at
Good
Checkpoint.
Analogy.
Yeah, you like I'm pulling it back. I'm pulling it back. So okay, I have to say it is such a thrill and privilege to see a female CISO, and I'm not going to go down that path. As far as yes, I'm all about women empowerment. But what I'm more about is, damn it, girl, I know you worked hard.
I did. And that's the truth. I actually started my career in tech. So you want a little bit of background?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's just jump right into it. Yeah.
All right. So, and I'm not going to read my resume because, nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to hear it either. But just, I think it's important to understand the journey that people go through, when they get to a certain point in their career and they want to talk about it. And I think about that. I mean, my career is still evolving. I'm still learning. I might not be in the position that I'm in for the rest of my working career. I don't know, we'll see what's next. Right. But I think about when I was in high school, as you do when you're maybe starting to take those exams, the ACTs, the SATs, all of that nonsense, right? Not nonsense, but you know what I mean. And when you're a teenager in high school, you think it's all nonsense, but then you realize like you got to do it.
Wait, that mathematics thing
right?
matters.
And so my mother was a nurse. My father worked at IBM. So I was always very influenced by healthcare and by technology. My dad, though, used to be able to take me to work, that take your kid to work a day.
Yep.
And so I got to play on computers as a very young kid.
That's cool.
And so part of that stuck with me, but I was actually not intending to go to college right away when I graduated from high school because I was actually a figure skater and I had hoped to make it into an Olympic event. And that didn't happen, of course. I didn't make it even to the national level, but that was okay. I still loved figure skating, still very much part of what I know and love and do recreationally. But when my skating career ended effectively, when I was around 15 or so, I said, okay, I got to start figuring out what I'm going to do for my post high school education. So I started pursuing healthcare, believe it or not, because I saw what my mom did at work. Our neighbor across the street was also a nurse. So I was always, just very influenced about how they always wanted to help people feel better, taking care of them, right? But I was always sort of, that pull of technology was always in the back of my brain. And I was thinking about, well, how can tech make healthcare better? Anyway, I started to pursue a pre-medicine in college. And then I started to think long and hard about, my parents worked really hard to put me on the ice at age 4, pay for all of those lessons, all of the coaching, all of the ice time. That money adds up, right? And I mean, and my mom was in nursing school at the time. And so I said, I really think I kind of want to make some money sooner rather than later. So I switched my major over to IT and got a computer science degree.
Oh, okay.
Now, we'll talk about that math thing here in a minute. But I got a computer science degree and started out in my IT career working at a financial institution as a software developer.
Okay.
Didn't like it.
You have a little bit more.
But you got to start somewhere.
You do, but you have a wee bit more personality than the standard programmer. I'm just going to throw it out there, and I'm just going to go ahead and guess you realize that very quickly.
I did. And but the really good thing about the institution where I was working, this financial institution, is that if you were in your role for 18 months to 2 years, you then had the opportunity to explore other avenues. And so we had a very large IT department. We were a pretty large financial institution. So, there was everything from, the software development, the programming. You could do project management. You could do networking. You could do all of the things that were part of IT. So I started looking into getting more involved in sort of the hardware and the networking side of things. So I learned. I asked my associates that I worked with. I wanted to find out what that closet full of that gear that had all the blinky lights on it was all about. And so when they were in there pulling cables and doing things, I'd stick my nose in and learn by doing. When we had new data centers that were going up, I volunteered to pull cable through the floors and rack and stack. I mean, I got my hands. I got my hands. I don't want to say dirty, but I got my hands in it.
Oh no, you got your hands dirty because if you're cabling, you're on your hands and knees.
I immersed myself in it, and I loved every minute of it because I could see the greater picture. I could see what all that connectivity was doing to bring our financial systems together and bring it to our customers to, help make their lives easier, right? Like who can live a day now without looking at their banking app on their phone, right?
So who doesn't have an app on their phone? That's the crazier part, right? Yeah.
So, that's really where the beginnings of my IT career, got started. And I just kept learning. I put in the work. Every time I wanted to learn something new, I didn't just expect it to fall into my lap. I put in the work.
Right.
I studied. I got the certifications. I asked for roles when those opportunities came up. And sometimes I didn't get them all.
Okay.
And sometimes you have to accept that. And that may have been a sign that, what? My mom would always tell me, well, if it's meant to be, it will be. And I'm like, oh, Mom, you sound like, what is that? Dinah Shore, whatever will be.
Oh, my God. Right? What's her name? Oh,
is that right?
Diane. No, Diana.
Shore.
Is it
Dinah Shore? I don't know.
No.
We can figure it out.
It's going to come. Oh, my gosh. I'm going to text you later, just a name, and you're like, yeah.
But she would always say that. If it's meant to be, it will be. And I always just sort of held on to that. I thought, you know what? Some of these decisions are out of my hands. I'm showing that I'm putting forth the effort. I'm doing the work. And if it's the right opportunity, if I'm the chosen one for it, then that's great. And so I, made some bold moves. I took some risks along the way. Some of them, again, maybe not have worked out so well. That whole software development thing, that was.
I'm sorry.
It's not that I didn't enjoy writing the code. I mean, it was kind of fun to get some requirements and make this thing do that, whatever it was, and see your output after getting all the errors fixed. But then at the end of the day, I was like, yeah, I can't see me doing this long term.
Right.
And so I grew from that. But, I actually always go back to how I started, right, with an appreciation for that, because as I changed roles, I changed companies, and I started working at a software engineering company. So isn't that funny how your past comes back to greet you? Not haunt you, but greet you.
It is. Don't burn bridges, reminder.
Exactly.
Seriously, no matter what, no matter how good the experience, bad experience.
Yep.
It's karma, man. It really is.
It is.
It really is.
And I found myself having to work with a bunch of software developers again. And the first thing that they said was, well, you don't understand anything about what our job is like. And I'm like, oh, you have no idea.
Oh,
yes,
contraire.
I do.
Yeah.
And so, it's some of those things where it may not be evident to you right away that this is a foundational element of something that will come back to you later in your career that's going to really help you.
Yeah.
But that for me was. And that actually was what launched my career in cybersecurity. So I took that fork in the road from IT into cybersecurity.
So, I got to say, and it's funny because I have nieces and nephews. I don't have children, but I have nieces and nephews. And I have 10 of them. And every single one,
oh my gosh,
I said, guys, seriously consider cybersecurity. It's job security, especially in this culture that we're in, society that we're in. I don't know one thing that's not connected to some kind of IP address in some capacity somewhere. I'm like, if you want to have job security, go into cybersecurity. And it doesn't mean you have to be a programmer. I mean, because we were in sales. We were pre-sales people, right? My boyfriend was a pre-sales engineer. There's there's a huge ecosystem of jobs.
There is.
In cybersecurity.
Absolutely.
And you know what? One thing, I'm going to shift it just a little bit
Sure.
because you're striking a chord with me on taking the risk, making the move, because que sera, but sometimes you got to put yourself into that que sera
Yes.
position, whatever it will be.
Put yourself
But
in the
sometimes you
chaos.
just thrust
Yeah.
yourself into it, right?
Yes, yeah.
And I remember once I was an inside sales manager and I wrote a job because we decided to expand our inside sales team.
Okay.
And we were hiring 20 inside sales reps.
Wow.
Yeah. They were like, let's do it. We're gonna break
Okay.
it down to East, Central, West. And at the time, we were just one team at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I just moved up to management. I was an inside sales manager. And then my director got promoted to Europe and they never backfilled him.
Oh my gosh.
So I reported as a first-time manager to the VP, which absolutely makes zero sense. I'm like, what the hell? And my VP could not give two about anything that we were doing. So let's just say inside sales had a party, okay? Because I was a peer, didn't know any better, right? And I wrote the job description up because I wrote the job of what we needed, right?
Sure. Yep.
And we had I think he's 150 resumes first in for the week.
Wow.
2 women. 2 women out of 150. And
Why
I
do
was
you
like,
think that is?
so I went to the HR guy who was helping me out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what am I doing? What is going on here?
Mm-hmm.
I go, come on now, right? And he goes, well, let's see how you wrote the job.
Yeah.
Well, apparently I wrote it in a way where, you have a unicorn wish list of what we want everyone to have.
Yes.
Right. And it wasn't until he was one of the first that brought up to me and said, do you realize you need to maybe gently word certain things?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you do write masculine. He's like, do you know that? I'm like, no one's ever told me I was feminine, so I'm going to have to agree. But he goes, and also, yes, we do want that unicorn list. He goes, but you also have to understand, psychologically speaking, women, if they don't check mark everything.
Yep.
And everything. They're like, oh, I tie my shoes with my left hand, not right hand. Oh, I'm not going to apply for the job.
We talked about that this morning,
right?
In our session. Yes,
right?
we did.
And it's just frustrating because we women, I'm just going to say it, we hold ourselves accountable, and that maybe that fear of failing or fear of not asking the questions because they look foolish to learn.
Right.
And I feel like you did not do that. I feel like you were the opposite. Like you were like my experience of only 2 women applying. And after, by the way, we did fix it up.
Good. And how many applicants did you get?
5 more.
Yay! You more than doubled.
I know,
hey,
200 though, but no, but it was cool. But you know what's funny that and so I got a bad reputation of only hiring dudes, and I'm like, it wasn't my choice. I swear to God, I did it. But and then there was we ended up promoting another gentleman. Shockingly, he found women to hire. I'm like, then it made me look worse. But it was after we modified the job description. Full credit, you guys. I did not do that.
There you go.
So, but moral of the story is this: what was it about you that said, I'm going to ask? Okay, there's a job opening. I'm going to ask. Was it something that was taught to you by your parents, mother, brother, whatever? Or do you think it was in you? Nature nurture question,
Yeah. Boy, I've never really thought about it that way. I think it was part of my nature. I do. I think maybe because my dad put me on my first pair of skates when I was 4 years old. And at the time they were called double blades. I don't know if you've ever seen them before, but it's so that you don't, you can't get
break
out
your
there
ankle?
on the ice. Yeah. And so I skated around the rink for maybe, a half hour or so with these double blades. And my father was always very encouraging to me, always very positive. You can do this. You've got this. Look at how great you're doing. And I think that just helped fueled my confidence a little bit. And so then I was on single blades, within, I don't know, such a short amount of time. And I was out there just gliding around without even having lessons yet. So I think part of it is the aspect of I have just always been very eager to improve. And I think that some of that comes from the competitive nature of figure skating because figure skating is a very individual sport.
Yeah.
Right. Unless you're in pairs and stuff like that. But I was a single individual skater. So yes, there were other skaters that had different scores besides myself. But at the end of the day, I was looking at myself going, how can I improve what I just got in these results and go after them? If I want to be up on the podium, this is what I have to do. And so I think that ambitious maybe a little bit competitive nature with myself is what helped give me a level of confidence to not be afraid to ask for things. And I'll give you an example. So as my cybersecurity fork in the road happened for me, a couple of years later, I was up for a promotion at the company that I was at. And my boss, who kind of like yours, although he was our VP, but he had decided to take a role somewhere else. He was actually maybe even in pre-retirement mode.
And gosh.
So
Okay.
as things happen, right, they bring in a new leader, and that new leader wants to bring in their people. You know where I'm going with this, right? And so all of my paperwork had already been put into HR to have this promotion. And this new leader that came in told me point blank, well, your career has just been reset 2 years. You have to prove to me that you have what it takes to be at this level. And I thought, I am not going to stand for this. I have worked so hard to get where I am right now. I have proven, HR has it, my managers, that I reported to had the confidence in me to do this. So then I started thinking about, okay, maybe my time here is done. And that's a hard thing to do, especially when you've been at a company for a long time, because
you made an investment.
Some of that change is hard.
No, you made an investment and trusted in the company to take care of you.
Well,
and I'm not saying take care, but the gum fell out. To be loyal to you. You know what I mean? Like, you were loyal to them.
Right.
There's an assumption
you feel like there's a little bit of that. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think companies used to feel that way. And this is one of the reasons why I'm so impressed with Checkpoint. No, it's not because you guys are paying me anything. But I have to say, this is my first CPX. I'm so impressed by every single person I've met. And you guys...
I'm very glad to hear that.
And you guys are like that unicorn of like, you're 4 years in at Checkpoint and you're a newbie.
Yeah, I'm considered a newbie. Isn't that crazy? But I'm going to finish where I left off with that, because after this new leader came in and basically told me that my career was reset for 2 years, and I thought, no, I finally had the gumption to start thinking outside of a different opportunity, and it was going to be a lateral move. And, lateral moves are, again, it depends on the risk that you want to take. Are you willing to stay there? If I decided to stay, I was going to have to live with that decision. Or if I decided to make that lateral move to a different organization, and with the hope and the promise that I could get back on track for the next level that I wanted to achieve. So when I interviewed with this other company for this lateral move, I said, you know what? Will you hire me at this role level? But I want my title to be called Deputy CISO. And they said, yeah, we can do that.
You just asked.
All I did was ask.
All you did was ask.
If they had said no, I would have said, okay, well, maybe we can put that on a plan for future, but this is where my career plan is going, et cetera. I had all of this list of reasons why I wanted to have that, because I didn't even need it. All I did was ask. So the moral of that story is, don't be afraid to ask, because what's the worst that can happen?
No. And no's are not no's forever. No's can always change.
No's could be just not right now.
Yes.
Maybe later. Right?
Oh, I love it.
So that is how I started to grow my role into a chief information security officer, was simply by asking, because I knew I had the chops.
Yeah.
I was ready. And I said, but you know what? I know I'm not ready to be a full-blown chief information security officer. I'm still getting into that leadership realm and aspect of it. But can you make me the deputy? Can you deputize me so that CISO who is in place can help mentor me? I can be their plus one. I can be their backup. I can be the whatever. And the CIO at the new company that I ended up going to said, oh, yeah, when number one's out, number two's boss. I mean, he empowered me.
I love that.
He very much had the faith in me that, you know what, I recognize in you that you're the deputy CISO, but you've got this. And guess what happened? 2 weeks, my first 2 weeks on the job as the deputy CISO, the CISO who was there said, I'm going to take a vacation now that you're here. I can finally, take a little bit of a break.
Good for him.
We had a compromise, and I had to lead the organization through.
No. Oh, you know what? Darn it.
But that was the best experience I ever could have had.
Look, one step forward, two steps back. But here's my philosophy, though. At least you're taking steps forward to have two steps back. Like, I'm a big fan of scars. Maybe because I'm a klutz and I do have physical, legit scars.
Oh, I've got plenty.
I think there's something to be said about failing and failing multiple times. Sometimes you don't learn your lesson the first time, people. It's when you repeat it, then you have to do some soul searching to figure out, okay, what is it that I'm not following through on? But do you think, do you have a fear chip? Do you think you have a fear chip in you?
Absolutely.
Do you really? Though?
I do. But here's the thing. I psych myself out of it.
Okay.
You know, like I don't want to let fear control how I live, whether it's personally or professionally. And, you know, you can look at any of the news headlines, you can look at social media, and a lot of it is fear and uncertainty, right?
Yeah.
And doubt, FUD, we call it, right?
Oh, my God.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And if you subscribe to that and you let that control your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, I mean, that's no way to live.
No.
So I think about in terms of if I've got a new opportunity in front of me, like taking that deputy system. Now, mind you, I was only there for 2 weeks, but the fact that we had a compromise, and it wasn't even our own company, it was one of our vendors.
Oh, geez.
Right?
Oh, okay.
But it was because I had the background that I had in IT and in architecture and helping to fit all the pieces of things together. That's what I leveraged. Because I still didn't quite know what was going on as far as what the actual compromise was. We had people that were working on that, but I said, okay, I know how to bring all the right people together so that we can sort through this and get to, so our PR team can provide the right message to the media, so that our leadership team understands exactly what's going on, so that our customers can understand what's going on, because again, that fear, uncertainty, and doubt that can be leaked into conversations or in the headlines, you know, you can only control so much, but you want to make sure that you're managing that message. And I had to manage it for our team. I was leading the team.
That's crazy.
At that point.
You know what's funny though? Let me ask you this. When that moment had happened, sure, there's that moment of like, oh, this is on me. How quickly did you have that moment of like shock of like, wait, it's on me, and then you went to action? Was it something that you talked yourself into action?
Oh, no.
You had no choice.
It was instantaneous. Yeah, it was instantaneous. It was like I felt like I was sort of going into like a first responder mode type of a thing, right? I mean, you know, you've got to take action. You've got to do something, because the longer you wait to make a decision, the worse things could become. So, you know, inaction can be actually worse of an outcome than taking action. Yeah. And I trusted that the organization already had a well-established practice of cybersecurity, and we had our legal team and we had our privacy team, and they all knew the organization very well. Remember, I was 10 days in, so I was still, you know, learning all of the aspects of that organization. But I trusted in them, and I said, okay, let's all come together, help us, you know, figure it out. And it's just amazing, especially in times of you know, a crisis like that, how it brings people together. People in other parts of the organization that maybe never worked together, never even talked to each other.
I like that.
And how it brings people together. And I think that was probably one of the best outcomes of that entire situation that happened. Other than, I got my first you know, scar. And it's so funny because when the CISO came back from vacation, he's like, I take a vacation and this is what happens.
Well, you know, it's almost like there's like a little camera in the sky going, let's push that button.
Yeah.
This red button we're not supposed to push, let's push it. Okay, so you just said something that just really pulled me back into where Checkpoint is today with CPX, with the announcement of, you know, Infinity, and the fact that we are opening, which I had another question, but the fact that we are opening up the doors to third-party partnerships.
Yes.
You know, and collaboration. Yeah, they might be competitors, but it's such a high EQ decision to be made.
Very much so.
And I'm so impressed by that. So let me ask you this, because we had another panel earlier. It was during the press panel. And I find the challenge of CISOs today, I say CISO. Is it CISO?
You know what? I think it depends on what part of the country you live in. Some say CISO, some say CISO, some say CISO. Actually, I think over in Europe, they say CISO.
Well, then they're wrong. Okay, so anywho, but no, what I thought was interesting, that's actually off the record conversation.
Oh, yeah?
When I asked, I said, it feels like there's so many one-spot technology products out there that are sprouting out. Cybersecurity investment dollars are coming up with these like one-point solutions. And it's got to be confusing for today's CISO to be able to leverage that, what the heck, these new crop of startups are coming up. Plus, they've got their current, infrastructure they already got in place. How are they looking to innovate? Is it worth it? Or is it just another gadget or tool?
Right.
Do you find yourself more now as a CISO for Checkpoint? Do you find yourself helping to orchestrate and coach CISOs on, here's the landscape and here's something you might want to consider? Are you would you call yourself a CISO coach now than anything?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there are days where I'm a coach, and there's days where I'm being coached because I'm not done learning.
I love that.
We are learning every day. This is, and that's what I think one of the most exciting things about being in this industry is that, yes, threats are evolving, technology is evolving, people are evolving.
Yeah.
And we are surrounded by amazing humans that all have a similar cause, a similar purpose. As I mentioned during some of those talks today, that cybersecurity is all about human safety. That's the number one goal.
That's true.
But I want to get back to your original part of your question. And that is when you take a look at those we call them point solutions, or some people say best of breed. And you're right. There are many different types of security solutions, security technologies, or even IT technologies, however you want to label it. And as a CISO, when you are responsible for, this is what I say, our job is to influence, inspire, and lead the organization through cyber risk. That is our number one function.
Love that.
And when we're responsible for that, of course, part of that involves having the investment in human capital, the people that are going to help us keep our organization and our data secure, but also what those technologies are, they're going to help surround that, right? Help support that. And you spend a lot of time evaluating those solutions, doing those proof of concept exercises, making sure that it's within your budget. And so when I meet a lot of CISOs at organizations, they've sort of got their I'll call it their playbook, if you will, right? They've got, hey, for network security, we're going to use this. And for identity and access management or whatever, we're going to use this. Whatever, or for cloud, we're going to use. So they have that, and they've invested a lot of time and research and working with technology partners to come up with what they believe is the best solution for their company. So then when you start to think about, okay, well, there's a point solution for this and a point solution for that, and this covers this that this one doesn't cover, then you start to end up with this laundry list of, 30, 40, 50, even more lists of different solutions, different applications and products. And I had a moment with one of my security teams where I had about 7 different security analysts or security operations center analysts. And they were the ones that were the eyes on the screen, watching the blinky lights and the monitors of all of those different products and solutions, some of which were not integrated together. So they were all, they had like 3 monitors on their desk, and then each monitor was subdivided into 6 different screens. Can you imagine keeping your eyes on all of that? And I walked past them, heading to a meeting or something, and one of them just thumped their head on their desk and said, "I can't do this anymore." I said, "What's wrong? What happened? What's going on?" And they said, "There's too many things for us to look at. We don't even know if we've installed half of the things that we have correctly. Did we configure it correctly?
Yeah.
Are we getting all the benefit out of that capability that we chose? Is it really providing the coverage that we expected it to cover?" So many different questions. And that was my light bulb moment where I said, we're taxing the team. So think about their joy in coming to work every day, right? No, not joyful.
No.
They're not growing. They're not getting to think creatively. They're getting frustrated because
they're jockeying around apps that may or not be working. It may be blinking red light for the right reason and not the right reason.
And so those are some of the coaching discussions that I have with our customers and with our partners about, do you really know what a day in the life is like for one of your SOC analysts? Have you asked them? I know that you may have walked into that role and inherited what was already previously purchased. Or maybe you were part of the problem to begin with because 10 years ago you decided this was what you were going to do. And, now you're so invested in it that you don't want to embarrass yourself by saying, you know what? Maybe we've got a little too much going on here. Seriously, pride comes in.
Well, I think it's pride. Is it pride or is it, because there's ego, or is it, I done spent a lot of money. I better freaking tuck it under the rug.
Well, I would say, it may just be that realization that it could be even embarrassment, right?
Yeah,
I don't want to embarrass myself in front of my leadership that I've made all these solution decisions, and now I'm going to say, we're going to pull back on this, and we're going to go with something that's a lot. I mean, it sounds great. We're going to go with something that's more streamlined, more simpler. But something that's actually integrated and going to give us better information and better decision support. I mean, who doesn't want that?
That's really what their ultimate goal is.
Exactly. But sometimes, it's hard for people to change. And so you have to have that conversation more than once. Right?
You know what you strike me as, Cindy, is like, seriously, like if I was a CISO, you're not making me say CISO. See, you know why I say CISO? Because I'm Syya. It rhymes with
there you go.
But anyway, so if I were a CISO, you have that personality. I think it's almost like, I don't want to say maternally, but you've got this gentleness about it where you're like, Billy, did you fall on your face? Mary, did you fall on your face? Come, let's discover why you would fall on your face. And then they're like crying through it all, and you're like, I'll just make you feel better. You've got that little je ne sais quoi. I don't know.
Well, thank you.
So okay, I know you and I could talk way too long. So I've asked this of everyone. So Checkpoint CPX 2025.
Yes.
What is it that you liked about this year's CPX?
I'm gonna have to say, and I'm gonna pick a word. Energy.
Ooh.
I feel like there is a certain energy. We have a new CEO.
Yes. Oh, he's cool.
We have some very innovative and new announcements with some of the technologies that we've been working on for many, many years that are now coming to fruition, right? So the energy behind that, you can ask somebody who's been here at 4 years like me, or someone who's been at Checkpoint for
25,
10
30
plus years. Yeah. And they are just as excited about what is to come. And so I think the energy is high. And I think not only the energy, but we are going to take that energy and channel it into action for our partners, for our customers. And they are going to see Checkpoint in a whole new light.
I'm pretty darn excited, man.
I mean,
Checkpoint has such a great reputation. It is, I'll be talking to Gil a little bit later. So I'm a little jazzed about that. Not gonna lie.
Yes.
More than jazzed. It's almost like a little mix of energy. That's funny you should mention that. Excitement, like don't mess it up, and like just like in awe energy. I mean, he's so incredibly brilliant.
He's brilliant.
It's gonna be really fun to chat with him. So okay, I have one final question to ask of you. And you've been asked already, but now it's just you. Hot dogs. Sandwich or not, young lady?
I'm a purist, so a hot dog is a hot dog. It is not a sandwich. Now, I could give the answer somebody else gave, but I'm not going to steal that. I'm going to let...
That was a mic drop.
Yeah, that was a mic drop moment.
I mean, literally...
Do we want to tell the audience what it was? I can recite it.
Okay.
Okay.
So let me just preface it. So we had the press Q&A. And there was a particular individual. I don't know if we should give his name, but we'll call Mikey.
Yeah, there you go.
Mikey. So we asked a question, and how did Mikey respond?
Mikey said, well, a sandwich only has 2 sides to it, and a hot dog is surrounded by 3 sides of bread, so it's a taco.
Shabling.
That's what he did. That was it. And we were all like,
dude, everyone just went, what?
Yeah.
I know.
So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
The three-sided aspect.
It is.
But good on him.
So, yeah. Okay. You know what's so funny? You did get like, I'm a creative. I should come with that. No, it didn't happen. So, Cindi, thank you so much for your
Thank you
time.
for having me.
Oh,
Thank you.
man.
Let's do this again. All
Please.
right.
Oh.
Let's not do this once and done.
We're going to do this again because we're going to come back, right? Yes, we're coming back. All right. Thanks so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Everyone, thank you so much. We are in a long series here of a lot of great interviews here at Checkpoint CPX Americas 2025.
There we go.
There you go.
Be safe, everyone.